From the heart of Sacramento, where the crown stays on and the lights go off, this is the Sac Blackout Podcast. No filters, no limits, just straight raw talk. We're bringing you everything sports, music, culture, and the real conversations they don't want you to have. So when the lights go out, you already know what time it is. Sac Blackout Podcast.
Yo, what's up? Yes. This is the Sac Blackout Podcast, broadcasting live from Sacramento, California, bringing you the most that I possibly can when it comes to the Raider Nation. I am the host of the show, Izzy Lopez, and the vice president of the Sacramento chapter, The Black Hole. Normally, we only do a show once a week, and we get stuff going on, but I'm in a certain particular mood. There's a lot going on with the Raiders right now, and I want to try to be able to kind of put it out there and do my best that I possibly can and kind of pop my cherry when it comes to being able to broadcast as much as I possibly can. On our show, we have a great guy, and he's actually a good friend of mine. He actually helped a lot with setting all this up. He helped set us up with the Black Hole Sacramento chapter. He was approached to become the Sacramento chapter. He told me about it. He's like, hey, I got this chapter now. We're going to be starting it up. This was roughly about 3 years ago. And what ended up happening was that I was like, all right, cool. I joined up, $50. I paid for it, and it's a lifetime membership. I'm not trying to sell it to anybody like that. It's anybody can come watch the show with us or watch the games with us on Sundays, which we hold them at Shenanigans, 7431 Madison Avenue in Citrus Heights. And with that being said, he was like, yeah, we're just looking for a place right now to be able to host the shows. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I got you, man. It's boom, signed up. And I started looking for places for him, and he's like, hey, man, why not be my vice president? Sure. Just jumped on. And everything else after that was history. So we are the Black Hole Sacramento chapter. We wanted to do our own podcast now. So we are the Sac Blackout Podcast, where we black out all the nonsense, the media crap, and all the watered down opinions. We keep it real, we keep it straight, and we always shed light on all of everything that's real. With that being said, we're going to be talking about a lot of Raider stuff. And if there is anybody that's watching and wants to jump on with me right now, you definitely can go on ahead and put some comments in there, and then I'll be able to do my best to read it. With that being said, let me go on ahead and read all this stuff off right now. Is the Raiders offense finally built right? There's a lot going on with the offense. Signing Linderbaum was probably one of the biggest moves that the Raiders made in the offseason. Being able to sign him to a monster deal, getting him in as probably one of the best centers in the game, and that was what right there is what set everything off. Getting Clint Kubiak obviously started everything off, so I'll just go on ahead and go back there. Clint Kubiak, one of the best. He's a great coach. He's obviously had a lot of success with Super Bowls and being able to coach a lot of different Super Bowl type players. So getting him in, him building the structure, him setting the tone, really, really is something that we needed. We all know, if we followed up on it, obviously last year was not the best year for the Raiders, going 3-15 the way that we did. There was a lot of dysfunction. Okay. We thought, having Pete Carroll come in there was going to be the best, but then they went ahead and got Chip Kelly. We all got excited about that. I know we did, but a lot of us that did know it wasn't going to work from the beginning, because Carroll and Chip Kelly were two different people. They didn't like each other already as it was. So it already set a dysfunction in there. Graham was already going to be out the door. He was not going to come back. Pete Carroll ended up talking him back into coming in. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but according to some sources reading up on some of the stuff like that, Pete Carroll talked to Patrick Graham and ended up convincing him to stay. I think even at some point even convinced him that either in the long run, if he became successful, that he would end up getting more money, not necessarily from the organization, but being able to, show his real skills off and all that. And then he'll be able to, it would have been financially good for him. Yeah. So being on house arrest, this is my baby, so I'm gonna do my best. But like I said, with Pete Carroll, Um, Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham. I mean, it was rough last season, and then having to get Patrick Graham in, everything was going smooth. But then at some point, I think in the reports that I was reading, Pete Carroll ended up kind of doing a 180 on him. And there was just dysfunction all between the three of them: Chip, Patrick, and Pete Carroll. I mean, there was just a lot of stuff going on between them. I think even at some point there was a report saying that Patrick Graham only ran 6 quarters throughout the whole season. 6 quarters throughout a whole 17 game season that he was actually able to control and do what he wanted to do with his defense. And when he did that, the Raiders were successful. And I think because he did that, we ended up winning those 3 games. So this season, everything is new. I mean, Kubiak ended up hiring exactly who he wanted to hire, people that he was familiar with, people that not only is he familiar with, but the personnel is familiar with the players. Like for example, you have Ronell Williams, who was familiar with Nakobe Dean. He was with them with the Eagles, and it worked out great. Travis Smith, he's on the defense right now. He's one of the linebacker coaches. He worked for the Raiders for 12 years. Okay. And I think the last year that he worked for the Raiders, it was in 2021, which was the rookie year for Max Crosby. So, it was amazing. Okay. It was amazing because I think he ended up going to the Pro Bowl that year, and he worked with them on getting him, the trophies and everything that he needed to get that. He helped them become successful. But there's a lot of familiarity out there. Also with Joe I can't say his last name, but with the special teams coach, the Robert Leonard, now going from the offensive line into for the defensive line, all the way up into the offensive line all the way up into the offensive coordinator's room, and yeah. Let me see here. Since it's live, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Yeah. So I was wrong. So he's obviously the defensive coordinator. So he's going to be up in the booth as opposed to being on the field with the players, and we're looking forward to that. All right. So with that being said, for years, Raider Nation has been waiting for an offense with identity, not just names, not just hype, but identity. Now with Clint Kubiak running the show, Ashton Genty in the backfield, Fernando Mendoza as the future quarterback, Brock Bowers already looking like a centerpiece, and Kirk Cousins possibly being the bridge, which is going to be a topic coming up here pretty soon on one of our podcasts. The Raiders assign. Okay, look, I'm going to probably set it straight for you. We are eventually going to get my duties. He was on there. Nobody's watching, which is okay. Only visible to me. I thought the whole thing was just visible to me. So with that being said, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So look at Kirk Cousins with his experience in the league. Yeah, he is going to be out there in the OTAs commanding, doing what he does. It's like riding a bike for him. He's going to be out there doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, commanding the offensive line, making sure that his wide receivers are paying attention, getting the ball out the way that he's supposed to get it out there because he's comfortable. He knows what he's doing, and he's played with Coach Kubiak before. It's no brainer that he will most likely be the starter. I would say he's going to be the starter for safety reasons. Okay, let's get him out there. Let's see what he can do against Miami coming up in game 1, because the rest of the way, it's not going to look good. All right. Our first game somewhat is a cakewalk. So, I mean, if they are going to put Mendoza out there, I would say that Kirk Cousins would have to light it up for the first quarter and a half, and then most likely get us a fat lead and, get comfortable throughout all that. and then they'll probably throw Mendoza sometime in like the end of the third quarter, and then let him finish off the fourth, or maybe even put him sometime in with the last 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I would say that because you don't want to throw Mendoza out there against right away. I mean, unless he's picking everything up, and the coaches obviously feel comfortable with throwing him out there because of what he's picking up in the OTAs, how he's going to be coming up with the mini camp and the practice. During the preseason games, I mean, I would say that the real testament that's going to come up to him will be against the Texans, because they were ranked top 3, or I think they were ranked number 3 in the defense. So that's going to be the real strength, the real testament right there, going up against a team with a strong defense. And especially it's going to be a testament against our line, because our offensive line last year, as we all know, was not that good. They ranked dead last in the league. You know what I'm saying? 32nd, because they were only allowing, our offensive line was only allowing, I think it was like 77.3 yards a game. Okay. Averaging 3.6 yards. Okay. Every play. That's not good. We were ranked 32nd in the league, and we didn't think we were going to be able to bounce back from that. Ashton Jeanty, in his rookie season, with all that going on, with the dismay that was going on with the coaches, the line not being with the way that it was supposed to be, still managed from scrimmage, put up 1,300, and I think it was 1,351 yards, I believe. Somewhere up there, 1,300 yards. I don't have the notes right in front of me, but to be able to put up 1,300 yards in a season, your first season from scrimmage, is amazing. It's just amazing with the offensive line that was ranked 32nd in the league. It's just amazing how you're able to do that. On top of that, so the numbers were that he had 266 carries, and I think it was like 55. Yeah, 55 or something like that were catches, and were all in the air, and he did well. I think even in all, the Raiders had 5 touchdowns throughout the whole season, and the Raiders, and all those touchdowns came from Ashton Jeanty. I want to say most of them did. Most of them did. And Ashton, like I said, Ashton Jeanty still managed to put up to 1,300 yards, 266 carries, and 55 catches. And and I think the numbers were 975 rushing yards. So that's what he ended up getting, 975 rushing yards behind a 32nd ranked offensive line. On top of that, now this is where it actually came in. He was averaging, they said that they were averaging 3.6 yards a game or a play. Now that's very low. Okay, that was low, according to the standards. He ended up still getting 975 yards. But a lot of the yards that he got, they said that it was 66% of the yards that he ended up acquiring were after contact. So the YAC game, YAC, yards after contact, his 66% of the yards that he had obtained from running all came from after. If you can be able to, to limit that type of contact, he is going to have an explosive year this year. So with having Tyler Linderbaum at center, and we all know that he is going to start, you don't pay that man that much money to sit him down. What's up, whatever? Hey, what's up, man? I appreciate that. Hey, I appreciate that. You don't sign a guy like that for nothing. Okay. You're not speculating. You're not getting him out there to compete. Nah, he is going to be our center, and not just because you're paying him that much money, but because the dude is solid. He has good hands. He has good awareness. The dude is a wall, straight up. He's a wall. On the left side of him, I don't really have any real reason to say that he's not going to be, other than maybe an injury. And I'm knocking on wood that he's not going to get injured at all. But Colton Miller is back. He is definitely going to be healthy by the time game 1 comes around. He is going to be our left tackle. So with those guys already out there, and then you got Spencer Burford, who is right now, and if you watch the podcast, you'll hear a little bit more of Raider Chavez talk about it. But from what he's hearing and everything that's going on right now, Burford is stepping up, and he is out there making a name for himself, and he's definitely making his presence felt. And it's probably, maybe it's fueled because he wasn't signed on for another year, whatever it was. whatever the reason is that he is definitely out there playing, whether he really wants to be a Raider or he's just a committed professional, the dude is out there balling. And then you have DJ Glaze that's going to be out there with us. Jackson Power, there's a lot of talk about Jackson Powers being healthy as well. But we got a lot of guys out there, Kuntz and stuff, that's going to be able to maybe most likely even step up for him. So, but going back to Ashton Genty, the line is so much better. It's so much into what it is that is supposed to be accustomed to the Kubiak system. It's going to benefit Ashton Genty because, like I said, last year he had 66%. Oh yeah, Trey Zune. Yep, that's right, Trey Zune. And he's out there. They are expecting him most likely to be a starter. that's how good Trey Zune has been out there doing that. There's been talk and speculation that he is playing at a level where he can become a starter, and that is a great pickup in the draft. So low in the draft, it's amazing that we even got him at that point. And then obviously when it comes to defensive stuff, we'll get into some defense stuff here later. But yeah, Ashton Genty is definitely going to be able to benefit from this new line, from this new system, and I can't wait to see that. I'm pretty much like a little kid right now, like in a candy store. Just I'm giddy about it. But yeah, being able to put up 975 yards on a run or on an offense that ranked 32nd in the league is amazing. In your rookie year, man, just imagine. And he's bigger this year. They're talking about he's bigger as far as muscle wise. I mean, there's people that are out there saying, "Oh, he's too small. He's not going to be able to run and do it." No, he is definitely good. And the OTA reports, so there's been some scouting reports saying that, his pass protection play isn't very well. His size is a little bit questionable. He seems to he's not as explosive. Or okay, the last one, I have no idea who it was that they're looking at. He is explosive. He's able to get after, especially after the contact. The man can get out there and bust for a very, very long time. He's out there. I mean, I think what it was that he gets gassed at some point. But no. That was actually the report they were talking about Mike Washington, and I'll get into that. But those three qualities right there, obviously the one, him not being explosive, is ridiculous. But the first two, with him not having good pass protection, I mean, let's be real. There was a shitty line the year before. People were coming in every single time. I mean, so with the dysfunctional coaching staff and the line being the way that it is, he is going to be putting up a bunch of hands on people. I mean, so I don't think that he really had a good opportunity, especially being his first year coming in. He already knew he was a good runner, but then he had to be a good pass blocker with a line that's letting pretty much everybody. And if it was like a political thing, you're letting in everybody else from other countries. I mean, it's like, because everybody was coming in through that line. So he had to do his best to be able to protect not one, but push off two. It's like I don't think that he was pretty much built for that. However, he does pick up the knowledge very well. He's very quick about that. So I think at some point that probably just only made him better. So this year, having the line that he has, he is definitely good. I think he is most likely going to be able to double the numbers that they had last season with a 3.5 average yards running. I think he's going to be able to bust for at least 5 or 6 yards and be able to get that going. So we definitely look forward to that. And then on top of that, all over the top, okay, we know that we have good wide receivers out there, but the best wide receiver that we do have is actually a tight end with Brock Bowers. Having Brock Bowers out there is going to take off even more pressure off Ashton Genty to be able to get out there and bust, because they're going to be running that option play. You don't know whether or not they're going to be running it with Ashton Genty, and he can catch in the backfield. So even if they don't run it and they pass it to him, everybody's going to be thinking that Brock Bowers is going to be out there catching it. If they see Mendoza, I know I said Mendoza and not Kirk. If they see Mendoza out here running this way, they're going to be, especially if you got Bowers lined up on the right, and they're like, okay, well, he's either going to hit him or he's going to run it. Nah, then you got Ashton Genty right over here waiting for the ball. He's going to end up catching it, and he's going to go. He's going to say bye-bye. It's Mimi's time, okay? Vamos a almorzar. That's what he's saying. We're going home to eat. That's what he's talking about. So it's going to be beneficial not only for him but for Bowers. I think the most beneficial players. Okay, I'm not saying which side of the ball is going to be more beneficial with the Kubiak system. I'm thinking that the most beneficial players, two of them, plural, is going to be Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty from this system. It's going to work out. It's going to work out perfect for him. Okay, so the question is simple. So are the Raiders finally building this thing the right way? So Kubiak is the main talking point because the expectation is that he brings structure, motion, play action, and more quarterback-friendly system, as we were talking about with whether it be Mendoza or Cousins behind there. The whole offensive system is going to be able to run right. That quarterback is going to whatever quarterback is going to be there is going to be successful, especially with the weapons that he's got out there. The Raiders' offense is expected to revolve around the run game, tight ends, and a better spacing for the quarterback, as I was talking about with Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers. Reports have framed Kubiak as the offensive mind, as his offensive mind brought into was actually raised raises the Raiders' scoring and unlock young talent. Ashton Jeanty talking points is that he is the engine of the offense. He has value. He's not just turning the ball over. He can set up play action. He can help protect the quarterback and force defenses to respect the box. If Kubiak wants to build a physical offense, Jeanty has to be more than just a highlight player. He has to be the tone setter. Does Ashton Jeanty need to be the face of the offense before Fernando Mendoza takes over? Okay, so let me ask that question one more time. Does Ashton Jeanty need to be the face of the offense before Fernando Mendoza takes over? I'm going to say no. He does not need to be the face. I already know that I think that the way that things are going right now, with the way that the system is going, I think that everybody is probably like a manager of their own club. Ashton Jeanty is definitely going to be the leader in that side. Mike Washington Jr. is an outstanding running back. The dude runs a 4.3. He's fast. He's super fast. He's like 6'1" or 6'2". He's got strength. He's very explosive. Although they say that he does have a problem with holding on to the ball. He does fumble a lot. That a lot of his fumbles that had occurred were last year. I think he's had a total of 9 fumbles, and in a matter of either it's the 2 seasons or it all happened last year. And that he gets winded, so he doesn't run very long. He's explosive, so if anything, it's going to be that Ashton Jeanty is definitely going to be, and he is a 3-down running back. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And he even said it himself in the press conference that if he does not need to come off the field, he will not. He will stay on the field. And he has been watching, and it kind of, as a Raider fan and being biased about it, it does kind of suck that he looks towards who was it? I don't know if it was Herschel Walker. I know there's Walker. It was Seattle Seahawks, and he was watching a lot of tape on Christian McCaffrey. Now, Christian McCaffrey is a great running back. There's no doubt about it. So to be able to try to mimic his game, I'm not mad at him. Everybody mimics somebody at some point. Kobe with Jordan. I'm not sure about anybody else who Gretzky. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it's amazing that he is being able to try to mimic another running back. But he chose a good running back because he is somewhat, I would say, similar to his running game. He hits low, he runs low, he can run very far, very fast. And this is talking about Ashton Jeanty, but going back to Mike Washington Jr., he is going to be able to take some of that pressure off of Ashton Jeanty, because Ashton Jeanty, like I said, he's going to be he's a 3-back down. But when it comes to the time that when they're going to need that 3rd down, it may even go like, okay, Ashton Jeanty's going to run 3 downs. Maybe he'll get the 1st down on the 2nd down, and then he runs a 3rd down it's a first, let's say first, second, boom, he gets a first down off of first and second. And then now we're at first and whatever, and he runs one more play. Now it's second and let's say 7. Then you can most likely throw in Mike Washington Jr. and let him either run the second and third down. And if he doesn't get that first down, then we know that we can go on ahead and continue to run Ashton Jeanty for all 3 downs. But I think at some point that it's going to, create some confusion to be able to have Ashton Jeanty at least run 3 to 4 downs. Hopefully not like a 3 and out, but like run 3 or 4 downs and then get Mike Washington in there to kind of alleviate some of that pressure, give him a breather and all that stuff just to get that extra first down. So that's what I'm expecting them to do with Mike Washington. But Mike Washington, like I said, he's very fast, but they say that he has a burst of speed that tends to slow down after, 15, 20 yards or something. But that's what we need from him. That's exactly what we need from him. We need him to be able to get those first downs, get more than 10 yards. Okay. That's what we need. I don't care if you're running for 6 yards, but if you're averaging anywhere between 3 and 5 yards, get us the first down. That's all we're asking for. So to go back to the question, does Ashton Jeanty need to be the face of the offense before Mendoza takes over? Like I said, I think he's already going to be the face of that particular, because he's definitely going to be benefiting from that. If Jeanty eats, everybody eats. The quarterback gets easier throws. Brock Bowers gets cleaner matchups. And the receivers get more one-on-one chances. And that was a quote from Mendoza. So, that's pretty big right there. Okay. Let me go back over here. And so this is a live show, so it's gonna be a little bumpy. All right, so a quote. Okay, here's a quote. If Jeanty eats, everybody eats. Hold on. Damn it, what's the hell? Okay, I'm gonna wait right there. So yeah, going back to that. Okay, so okay, so one more time. If Jeanty eats, everybody eats. The quarterback gets easier throws, Brock Bowers gets cleaner matchups, and the receivers get more one-on-one chances. Fernando Mendoza's talking point. Okay, that was coming from Fernando Mendoza. He goes on to say, somebody was talking about, okay, so Fernando Mendoza is the future, but the real question is timing. The debate is whether Mendoza should start right away or sit behind Kirk Cousins. Current discussions, hold on, because it keeps going there. Current discussions around the Raiders has pointed to Cousins likely starting early while Mendoza develops, with some speculations that the team may wait until later in the season to turn it over to the rookie. Do you protect Fernando Mendoza by sitting him, or do you throw to him, or you just throw him in and let him grow with the offense? I would think at some point you're going to have to throw him in. You didn't pick him up first round, first player of the draft. You signed him first play. He wasn't just a first round draft pick sometime during the line. He was the first player to be drafted out of that class. So, we would like to see him getting thrown out there. But you do have to protect your investment. Cousins was obviously brought in to mentor. Hopefully whatever he's doing out there is helping him out. And with Mendoza's mentality already as it is and his ability to pick it up, I don't think there's going to be a problem with him coming up and being that player that we all expect him to be, which is amazing. Winning, okay? We want him to win. He wants to be a winner, okay? And he starts off slow. If you go back into a lot of his college games, I believe that there was one where Dan Orlovsky, who was hating on him very much, and Dan Orlovsky was pointing out that there was one particular game, or at least a string of games, where he was starting off, he threw interceptions, he fumbled the ball, he was getting sacked, he was making poor decisions. But if you go back into those games, they won. I would rather have somebody start off ugly and then end up very fine in the very end. It's kind of like when you go to the bars or whatever and you start drinking. Okay, she wasn't looking very good in the beginning. Then you get a little bit in your system and starts moving on the dance floor, and it's like, Yeah, okay. I see what's going on here. And then you kind of, I guess she wins or you win at the end of the night. My point is, if you're going to start off rough and end smooth, I got no problem with that. And that is, I think, the kind of mentality that that Mendoza has. You can even see that in the OTAs, because at the beginning of the OTAs, the first phase of the OTAs, they were talking about, oh, Mendoza's picking this up and picking that up. There was even somebody who, I don't know if he went viral or not, but he was talking about, oh, all you're going to show are the best passes from Mendoza. You're not going to show the interceptions. They didn't need to show the interceptions. They were just showing exactly how he can be able to throw and fit himself into the system. But he was starting off a bit rough. Come the second phase of the OTAs, and these are all voluntary. Second phase of the OTAs, he was picking it up a lot more. Yes, Kirk Cousins was commanding the lead and commanding the line and the wide receivers and that whole offense, but Mendoza was still able to get equal amount of opportunities to prove himself that he was picking up the line, or that he was picking up the system, and then on top of that, to be able to adapt to this new environment and create a new identity. So, with that being said, he obviously was proving himself, with the coach stating that, is it all in due time, not worried about Mendoza. I trust the staff and they'll know when, yeah, exactly. They'll know when it's Heisman time for him to come out there. No rush whatsoever. Okay. Because the question was right here, do you protect Fernando Mendoza by sitting him, or do you throw him in and let him grow with the offense? Like I said, he's picking up the system. He's doing what he was doing. And as I was going back to talking about how he was in college as opposed to doing the OTAs, he's starting off very rough, but he is picking everything up and he is ending very, very strong and smooth. So I don't have a problem. I particularly don't have a problem with being able to get him in there sometime later in the season when it seems to be appropriate. We don't know how the system, or how the season is going to end up. There's a lot of teams out there making moves. I mean, even though they're not in our division, but we are going to have to see them at some point. The Rams picked up Myles Garrett, so that is a defense that we are going to have to go up against. They were Super Bowl champs. You know, they did what they did in their. They didn't win last year, but they are Super Bowl champs. They were, I think, number 2 or number 3 or actually number 1 or number 2 in their division. But we're going to be going up against the Rams, but it's going to be a testament, I think, with him during the preseason, if they end up throwing him up against the Texans during that joint practice and then being able to play them in that preseason game. But I would say, at some point, if we have a lead, then you throw him in there. I mean, you don't throw him in there when you're behind or when you're tied. If Kirk Cousins starts picking it up, starts doing what he's supposed to be doing, and the offense is running exactly the way it's supposed to be, and we're keeping up, I would say towards the end of the third quarter, maybe. No, I said that's too early because the 15 minutes, a lot can happen in 15 minutes in a football game. I would say throw him in with the last 5-7 minutes of the game if we're in the lead. Let him get something in there. So I won't be surprised if we see Mendoza out on the field against the Miami Dolphins in the first game. Not to say that the Miami Dolphins are a poor team defensively, but they weren't the best and they're not the scariest. But I just don't see us with obviously on paper, with the system the way that Clint Kubiak and everybody is running it. I don't see us losing that game. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be out there scream, "You like that?" Okay, I think he's going to be out there to do that, and he is going to make them like it. So I would not be surprised if we have a really comfortable lead in that game, and towards the end of the fourth quarter, that you throw in Mendoza, just see what it's like. Give us a little, little taste. Just like Don Fanucci on Godfather 2. I just want to wet my beak. Okay, he didn't say it in English, but he said it in Italian. I don't speak Italian. So he's like, I just want to wet my beak, without the wine. So, yeah, I like I said, don't be surprised if you see Mendoza out there against Miami. And which would be really nice if you did throw him out there, because, look, he won the championship last season in Florida. Then a Florida team comes to your house and you're like, well, let me put some hands on you this time again. Let him have it. That would be amazing. That would be a hell of a story. It would be. But I think right now, safety, security, and health is way more important than some storyline. And like I said, okay, so yeah, so do you protect Fernando Mendoza by sitting him, or do you throw him out there and let him grow with the offense? You don't draft a quarterback number one just to hide him, but you also don't ruin him by rushing him into chaos. That was a quote by Clint Kubiak with his expectations. So this is where you turn it up. So Kubiak was brought in because this offense needed needed a growing plan, needed a grown up plan. Um, yeah, so I'm trying to read my notes the best way that I possibly can. Um, I forgot, and I'm like Ron Burgundy. My notes are here. I'm gonna read everything they put on the teleprompter. You know what I'm saying? Fuck you, San Diego. I'm just not really. I'm just repeating what was on the show. Okay, so Kubiak was brought in because this offense needed a grown-up plan. No more random play calling. No more hoping one player saves the day. The expectation is rhythm, balance, and development. Kubiak has to build the offense around Genty and Bowers first. So going back to the question on whether or not that Genty needs to be the face before you get Mendoza out there. Like I said, I mean he's already pretty much the face of his own department. He's already the manager of his own club, you know, his own department. So I don't think that that's going to have to be a problem. Um, he has to manage Cousins without blocking Mendoza's development. He has to improve the offensive line. And most importantly, he has to create an identity Raider Nation can see by week one. So, what's fair to expect from Kubiak in year one? Playoffs, offense improvement, or just developing Mendoza the right way? I mean, look, we as Raider fans, we're holy smokes, you're live. What's up, Elon? Yeah, I figured I'd go live on YouTube, bro. Try to just get some stuff talking about it. Hey, 4 people have been here. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Sack Blackout podcast, broadcasting live out of Sacramento, California. And I am the host of the show. Raider Chavez is the other host of the show. He and I definitely came up with the Sack Blackout podcast. We were actually at a meeting with our club, the TBH Club, the Sacramento chapter, and we all came to an agreement that this would be a great move for all of us. So thank you to everybody. Elon in the comments was one of the members of it, and he is definitely an important piece as well as a very valued voice in our club. So so thank you everybody that's joining in, and we'll continue to we drop a show every single week, but I'm just going live for the first time here, and yeah, so we're just going ahead and carry on. All right, so going back to the question, what is fair to expect from Clint Kubiak? Playoff offense improvements, or just developing Mendoza the right way? Like I said, we as Raider fans, we can win a playoff game and start screaming Super Bowl. I'll admit it. I'm one of those guys that do that. Okay. I'll come out there and be like, we're going to win the Super Bowl, bitch. Especially when we go up against San Francisco in the playoffs. I'll be like, we're going to the playoffs, man. You know? But realistically, I mean, and even last year, on paper, we were expected to go like 10 and something and be the number one in our division. As you know, we didn't really accomplish that. We ended up going we ended up being having the first round draft pick. Okay. Which worked out for us because now we have Mendoza. So I am not going to expect, just because it's on paper, just because the OTAs are going well, just because this staff is working well with each other, and they have worked with each other in the past. There seems to be no animosity, no dysfunction going on in that staff. See, Raider Chavez is in the comments right now. That's with the president of the Black Hole Sacramento chapter and the host of the show. We drop an episode every single week. At least we try to, and be able to bring you guys the most up-to-date information when it comes to the Raiders. And I'm going live to kind of just keep it going. But like I said, the expectations of going in as being a playoff team, I think that's going to be a bit much to ask Clint Kubiak. I am not going to doubt that he can get us close to that, especially with the players and then the personnel that they got. But I am not going to put, that he needs to be in the playoffs, or he needs to get us to the playoffs to be successful, or to even say that, the expectation for him to be our coach is that he needs to get us to the playoffs in our first year. Offensive improvement or developing Mendoza the right way. You know what? Offensive improvement. That's exactly what I need. I want to see offensive improvement, and I know Raider Chavez is definitely going to agree with me on that, because, like I was talking about earlier, 32nd. Okay, we were 32nd ranked in the league on offensive line. Okay, that's bad. Okay, I don't care. I know there are other teams out there. That's bad. Okay, with that being said, um, Ashton Genty was still able to do what he had to do and get us out there. And having so being able to get that line and that offense improved would be great. You know, more touchdowns. Obviously, we want more touchdowns because touchdowns win the games, but being able to move the ball forward. Okay. And there was a question that I had asked during the podcast, and I've asked it plenty of times, is that this season, are the Raiders going to stretch the field with the wide receivers, or are they going to be able to let the run game set the tone? And one final portion of that question is, and to me, it's the most important question. Are they able to finish the drives when it matters the most? Okay. We've gotten, I think, to the red zone, or I don't actually know. We never really made it to the red zone as much as we wanted to last season, but there were a lot of times where a lot of plays were made, big plays, stretching the field down, and they just couldn't finish it. Just for some reason, they just could not finish it. They couldn't get close. So that's where I would think that is going to, for me, my expectations with bringing in Kubiak, offensive improvement. Okay, that's where that's at. I wish that I could be able to, you know what? We're live. Oh, you know what? No, I don't think I can do that. I'm checking this. Still interested in a free. No, I'm not. Okay. I will try to get it running by the next show to take phone calls. I think I'm probably going to have to buy one of them trap phones or something like that, because I was going to probably use my other phone that I had, but I don't want to give that number out. So going back to the question, yes, offensive improvement. I think that's what my expectations are with Clint Kubiak, and I'm really looking forward to that. So we'll see how that works out. As far as Brock Bowers goes, he might be the safest weapon on the offense, because he gives the Raiders matchup problems. Like, he's going to give it to them every single week. And he was already out there comfortable during the OTAs. If you're following up on the OTAs, he and Kirk Cousins, and this is probably what's going to keep Kirk out there. He and Kirk Cousins were phenomenal together. Kirk Cousins was definitely picking it up, throwing the ball out there the way he's supposed to be. And then there was a play where Jeremy Chin had he was walking away, and I'm going to give a shout out to the Locked On Raiders podcast. Your boy Q, he had said that when he was on the sideline watching everything going on, and there was a play where I guess Kirk Cousins was kind of doing something kind of out of his element, and he ends up throwing an interception, and it was Chin that ended up intercepting it. You don't want to have Chin intercepting it like that, because he was probably going to talk a whole bunch of mess. But the very next play, whatever happened, Kirk Cousins ended up dropping a dime. Okay, just like it was inevitable. Like, you could not stop it, even if you were in front of it. Okay, like it's transparent, goes right through you. Like, whatever. I'm not going to even get into too many of that. So after he drops that dime, Jeremy Chin was walking away, and it was your boy Q from the Locked On Raiders podcast who had heard him, Jeremy Chin, say, "Man, that number 89, he's a motherfucker." Now, he didn't obviously say motherfucker on his podcast, but that's what he heard him say. He said, "Man, that number 89, he's a motherfucker." Already, you got players out there giving so much praise to Brock Bowers, and he is arguably the best tight end in the game. Okay, or he could be the top 3. Okay, whatever. Like I said, arguably. So, yeah, Brock Bowers, he is going to create so much mismatches for everybody out there. It's man, I'm telling you, this. I know every single year we get excited about it, but with this being like the fourth, or what is it, the third quarterback, the third coach, maybe the fourth coach that Brock Bowers has had to deal with since we signed him. He still managed to put up a whole lot of numbers. He still managed to be one of the top 3 tight ends in the league, and so we're looking forward to that. Okay, so yeah, Brock Bowers. So he can be used in the slot, in line, off motion, in play action, and as a safety blanket. and as a safety blanket for either Cousins or Mendoza. Reports have even mentioned Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty as long shot offensive players of the year. And I was telling you guys about that earlier as who's going to benefit the most out of this Kubiak system. It's going to be Ashton Genty or Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers most like I'm okay. If I'm going to put a stamp on either one of them, oh man, I mean that is a tough one because I was already talking about Ashton Genty in his rookie year last season with the 32nd ranked offensive line, putting up 979 yards, 1,321 yards from scrimmage. So that was 266 runs. Okay, 266 runs, carries. Okay, so that was carries, and then 55 catches, 975 yards with an average of 66% of those 66% of those yards from his yards that he got running. 66% of that was from the yards after contact. Okay, so this year with the line, I'm really going to look for it. I want to say Brock Bowers. I want to, but if I have to put a stamp on it, I'm going to say that the offensive player of the year is going to be Ashton Genty this year. So I'm putting a stamp on it. Quote me on it, however you want to do it. I'm going to go on ahead and just say that. Offensive players of the year candidates because of how much that this offense could feature them. So if Genty is the engine, Brock Bowers is the cheat code. The offensive line just might decide whether the whole plan works or falls apart. Just like I was talking about. See, I'm even getting ahead of my notes here. But like I was talking about, like it's really going to depend on how well that this line protects, whether it's going to be protecting Mendoza so that he can make the decision on whether or not he's going to dump it off in the backfield to Genty, or be sure to hit Brock Bowers, Trey Tucker if he's going to be out there doing what he's doing, or if it's just going to be too much. Did I say Mendoza? I think I said Mendoza. Yeah, so it's or the quarterback, let's just say the quarterback is just going to be able to hand it off to Genty, let him run his 2-3 downs. If he needs a breather, you got Mike Washington Jr. in the back, all right? Mike Washington Jr. the third. Whatever. You got him back there. Another explosive 6 foot. I mean, he's a 6'1" guy, so he's a little bit taller than Ashton Genty, but he's explosive. He's fast. He's able to get out there and take a little bit of pressure off of there. If he's able to get out there and catch the ball at a short field, he's always going to most likely get us at least 7 or 8 yards. Because like I said, the scouting reports were saying that Mike Washington is explosive. He is very fast, okay, because he ran the 4.3. Okay. The man is fast, but he gets gassed, okay? And he gets gassed after like 15 or 20 yards. So if that is something that he's going to have to be working on as far as conditioning goes, that's, he's an athlete. The man is built for it. He'll be able to work that out. But being able to get him out there to take some pressure off of Ashton Genty, I'm telling you, it's going to work out for him a hell of a lot. With Tyler Baum being the anchor, I mean, yeah, like I said, Ashton Genty is he's going to be out there doing it. So we're going to go, talking about Jordan Meredith, Jackson Power Johnson, Spencer Burford, Caleb Rogers, and Trey Zune III as part of the guard competition. Okay, with Rick Dennison's wide zone scheme being a major factor, do the Raiders have enough up front? Okay, do the Raiders have enough up front to protect Cousins and eventually Mendoza? Okay, do they have enough up front? I don't see not. I mean, all those names right there. I mean, Jackson Power Johnson, if he stays healthy, I mean, why not? Trey Zune III. We drafted him for a reason. Caleb Rogers. I mean, look, we got him for a reason too. And Caleb Rogers is obviously going to be out there doing what he's supposed to be doing. There's no doubt in my mind that his health is obviously going to be the biggest issue. And to me, I think right now, from what everything is going on and how we were talking about in our podcast, I'm going to make the assumption and the leap. We already know that Linderbaum is going to be starting, no doubt. He is going to be the center. He's going to be out there front and center. To the left of him, you're going to have Colton Miller. Colton Miller, he's back. He's healthy. I don't think that foot, I think what is it, a foot? I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. I mean, he's working well on it from what they were talking about in the OTAs and everything going on, and he's out there. I don't know if he's 100%. I'm not out there on the field, and I'm not getting a lot of the reports out there. You know, I'm just a guy out of Sacramento. But I try to keep up with a lot of the information, whether it's on X or YouTube, whatever it is, and all that, following all these other podcasts. But yeah, so Colton Miller's going to be out there, and then you got Spencer Burford, who seems to be lighting it up in the OTAs, and he is definitely making a name for himself. And I want to say that him coming over, getting signed, I think is more of a fuel of the fact that the 49ers probably did not want to keep him, or they didn't want to adhere to his requests. So Raiders picked him up, and he looks great in silver and black. No doubt in my mind that he's going to be putting up numbers and making sure that he protects the quarterback. So let's just go on ahead and say it right now. You got Linderbaum, Miller, Burford right there. Just to go on ahead and start. Jackson Power Johnson, obviously they're saying he's going to be the guy, most likely, and then DJ Glaze is going to be the starters. But that's still up for competition as far as their positions go, which is why, a lot of times that we're mentioning, Trey Zune and Caleb Rogers. So, we're going to see what's going to happen. So do the Raiders have enough upfront protection for Cousins and eventually Mendoza? I'm going to say right now, yes, they do. Granted that there really is maybe two guys on our line that could. I mean, DJ Glaze, we don't know whether or not he is going to remain healthy or if he is going to be productive enough to stay as a starter. Obviously, there's going to be some sort of concern with JPJ because he does not. I don't know. They're saying that from what I'm reading, he's picking it up. He's getting back. He's getting healthier. But and I'll have to look up a little bit more on his injury to figure out exactly whether or not that they're talking about if he is going to be a liability. But yeah, just the overall protection and the health of the players is very important. So if JPJ stays healthy and Colton Miller stays healthy, they are going to be the starters. And I don't see nothing going wrong with that. So talking about other people, as far as obviously Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor, and this goes back to whether Brock Bowers is going to be beneficial to this or he's going to be just dangerous. He will. I mean, you got Speedy Naylor out there, and then you got Trey Tucker. I mean, let's go. Okay. I know that Jack Besh was underutilized, as they were saying last season in the Pete Carroll system, because there was a lot of dysfunction, so he wasn't used very much. However, I believe that he was thrown to 20 times. He either dropped one, or one didn't get to him, or he did catch every ball that came to him. So Jack Besh, from what I'm hearing and what I was doing research on during the OTAs about Jack Besh, that they're most likely going to keep him like as an outside receiver, that he is not very fast, that he doesn't have a very big YAC game, which is, YAC, yards after the catch. Palomalu and Cousins were in a nice competitive beef. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were. I'm sorry I missed that. We're gonna talk about that during one of the podcasts. But they were talking about how like Jack Besh is going to be more utilized on the inside, whether it be slot, being able to get, because he has the size. They're saying he doesn't really have the speed, but he does have a good awareness. He has good hands, and that he is going to be utilized more, most likely in the middle of the field than he is going to be on the outside. Even though they might start him on the outside, slots, tend to be able to come in through the middle, and that he'll be able to get that because we need those extra yardages. So, get that. Derek Young, also listed among the receivers. Michael Mayer. Now, I'm going to try to find out whether or not that this is just a rumor or not, but there's speculation that the Raiders are going to put him up for a trade. I'm going to find out. That's scary to think about. Mayer is a strong 1A or 1B, however you want to, however you want to word it, to Brock Bowers, because when Brock went out, then you had Mike Mayers come out there. Mike Mayer did what he was supposed to do. Ian Thomas gives the Raiders depth behind Bowers at tight end. The ESPN's current Raiders depth chart lists Cousins ahead of Mendoza as far as the wide receiver, as far as quarterback goes. Genty as RB1. Of course, Genty is going to be RB1. Bowers is going to be tight end number 1. There's no question about that. I don't even know why they even brought that up. So the Raiders don't need every receiver to be a superstar. They need defined roles: speed, possession, blocking, red zone targets, and guys who can win when defenses load up. And Genty and Bowers, they're going to be the offensive pieces that gives them the power. Bowers is going to make sure that they give them the mismatch ability. Mendoza, when he eventually develops and does what he does, is going to give them the future. Okay. Cousins right now gives them a bridge. All right. And Kubiak gives them the plan. But now the question is this. Hold on. I gotta wait for a second because I got a little ahead of myself. Hey, that's a live show. You heard, okay, so Alon's over here talking about that he heard Best struggles with getting separation, which is one of the reasons he didn't get a lot of targets when he did play. Yeah, but then at the same time, he wasn't utilized correctly because he really wasn't able to get the ball thrown to him as much with, Geno being scrambling around and all that, being chased around. So, that makes sense. Yeah, but the plan for him is to be able to just get those quick yardages, get those quick first downs. They're not expecting Jack Best to be the explosive wide receiver or that receiver that's going to get them able to stretch the field. We already got Naylor. You already got Benson coming in for that. And then you got Trey Tucker. So there's no real expectation of him going downfield, but with his size and I believe with the amount of time with the catches that he's had last season, because he has hands. All right. So if he's able to catch it, get those yardages, then that's what, because he has size too. The dude's big. And I don't know the exact, I know he's somewhere around like 6'2" or 6'3" or something like that. So they're going to utilize his size, his catching ability, and the fact that he can be able to get out there. So yeah, you're right. He struggles with getting separation, but that's where I think or at least that's why they ended up keeping him and getting him out there, pushing a little bit more planning to be able to get him to get those short yardages. Now, I don't know too much about Thornton. He had even a less amount of playing time than Betch did last season. So to my understanding, from what from the people that I follow on social media, they all said the same thing, that, yeah, Thornton was out there, but he was very limited as far as the OTAs go, because he looked like that he was dealing with the leg issue. And I think it might be a strain, a pull, or whatever it is and all that. So Thornton didn't really get to see a lot of time or even playing time, not only last year, but he's even having even the same amount of the same amount of effects going into the OTAs, or even less amount of OTA time this season. So Jack Best, like, good point. Hey, what's up with the minutes? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And yeah, thank you for all your compliments and your support on the page. If you can always, like I said, share, it's always great. And I know at some point I was supposed to say, hey, this is the Sac Blackout podcast coming out of Sacramento, California. I am your host, Izzy Lopez, and the vice president of the Black Hole Sacramento chapter, here to always give you the real when it comes to Raider information. Now, a lot of our information is based on facts that we get from other reporters. We try to follow and get the right information to give out to you. We're not like some of those guys out there that are just wake up in the morning and just say, oh, well, I heard something, and I'm going to say it. Like one guy, I'm not going to say his name or whoever it was, but I followed him for a while, got the information, woke up one morning and I heard him say, oh, Brock Bowers and Mac Mayer are not going to be playing next season due to an injury or due to something else. And I'm like scrambling, looking for the information. None of it was true. So very inconsistent. Be careful who it is that you're looking at and when you're watching out there. If there is something that strikes you, and I would even ask you to fact check me and our crew here. If there's anything that you hear that may sound a bit overzealous, it may even sound just a bit outrageous, I would advise and implore you, please do a fact check. Go back and be like, oh, hold on. He said he's not playing, or this guy, he's injured, or oh, they're looking at him to be the starter. Go look it up. Get those, make sure that they have that blue check mark. Because a lot of the facts that we get are from people who are there at the OTAs, who are there at the facilities. I'm not getting a lot of my information from, I don't know how it works yet, but a lot of these major networks, they got a lot of guys out there that get whatever information that they get. But I'd rather get it from the people who are on the ground zero guys, the people that are there, the ones that are actually having the conversations with the coaches, with the players, who are there front and center, first off, day one at the press conferences. So I'll do my best. With that being said, okay, so what was I talking about here? Okay, so they define speed, says red zone targets. Okay, yeah, so they got red zone targets and guys who can oh no, we're talking about okay, so the Raiders, they need every wide receiver. They don't need every receiver to be a superstar. They need defined roles: speed, possession, blocking, red zone targets, and guys who can win when defenses load up on Genty and Bowers. All right, so this offense has pieces. Genty gives them power. Bowers gives them the mismatch ability. Mendoza gives them the future. Cousins gives them a bridge. Kubiak gives them the plan. But now the question is, can all of that turn into points, wins, and real offensive identity? Okay. With that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. This is the first live that we've done here, and I say we because I did run it by my guy Raider Chavez, the president of the Black Hole Sacramento chapter, and we've been wanting to do a lot more live shows. Actually, starting off a live show. Hey, thank you for so much. I appreciate it. Like I said, we're trying to make sure that we give the best content that we possibly can. And a big shout out to not only Raider Chavez, but I want to give a shout out to our official, unofficial. And the only reason we say unofficial is because he doesn't work for the Raiders. But I want to give a shout out to our official Raider analyst, Wyatt Redding. He's a young kid out of here in Sacramento, and he has great knowledge of the game, and he's very fluid with his dialogue and his delivery. So if you ever do watch our show, and if you want to follow him on Instagram, you can, or you can just simply stick around and just continue to watch how he breaks everything down on his Fourth and Wyatt segments. But we will always give you the best information that we possibly can. It's early and as fast as we possibly can. We drop a show every single week. We talk about different topics, whether it's going to be the OTAs, the offensive line. We go in depth to even talk about coaches, okay? Whether they're offensive line coaches, linebacker coaches, offensive coordinators, defensive. Like, we try to talk about everybody because, yes, the players are obviously the backbone. I mean, are obviously the face of the league and the team itself. But you do got to be able to pay respect to that backbone. And these coaches, that's where it starts. Because if the coaches don't have it, then we all don't. Okay. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining me here on the East. God, that's not that show. For joining me here on the Sack Blackout podcast. We drop a show every single week. So be sure to tune in. If you haven't followed already, go on ahead and do that. Share the live as much as you possibly can. And as always, we're going to black out all the noise and always shine light on the real. Thank you so much. We're going to be out of here right now. You guys have a great day. Thank you for joining me on this first live. Okay, the first live. All right. So we're going to go from there. Everybody, have a good one.